I'm Cheryl Marks Young. Today, I want to speak to you about a topic that has been coming up lately in coaching circles, in business circles, in personal conversations. And it really has a deep and rich impact on the results that we have at the end of the day from the plans that we set in place with each other, with ourselves, with our teams. And that conversation is attachment versus commitment. And it is a distinction that on the surface may not seem important, but it's that distinction between attachment to an outcome or commitment to an outcome that can change the trajectory of the success that you have in all arenas. Let me give you some examples of how this might play out and actually what is the fine nuance or difference between attachment and commitment. So attachment is me bringing my agenda into our conversation, into our plan, and saying, I am attached to having this process work my way, look the way that I want it to look or the way that I think it should look, and have the results that I want to have. Commitment is to the idea of the result. I am committed to reaching that result. I am committed to a certain level of excellence, a certain standard, as opposed to I'm attached. Attachment looks like gripping with, fear and determination, yes, but it is gripped. And so that can explain that gripping onto something has fear underneath, fear of letting go, fear of losing it, whereas commitment to is working on it, is an allowing, is a letting. And so where they may sometimes be used interchangeably in this example, I am discerning the difference between I am attached to it versus I am committed to a result. And where this plays out in your organization is that if you bring your attachment into your team meeting with your direct reports or with your team, and you're saying, I want this outcome, and we're going to do it this way, and there's no questions, you actually can shut down creativity and flexibility in problem solving. Whereas instead, if you walk into that meeting and say, I am committed to us all achieving this result, you open the floor for people to show their version of how it can happen. And that flexibility allows for buy-in at every level of the organization. It also opens up a conversation of what can I influence from my seat? And so if you walk into that room and say, I am committed to us becoming best in class in this marketplace, or I am committed to increasing our ratings on customer service, or I'm committed to increasing our net profit, or improving our profit margin, or reducing our contribution margin, a specific item, then you're allowing them each around that table in that discussion to say, what can I influence that will help us achieve that result? If we're all committed to that result, we can all help solve it from our seat, as opposed to I'm attached to this result. And if we don't get that result, right, I'm attached to it being that. And here's how we're going to get that. Leaves no room for creativity. I am curious how this might play out in your own environment. And I want you to think about that. When do I walk in to a room, to a meeting, even to a family conversation in my personal life? Where do you walk in attached to the result And where do you walk in committed to supporting the result? It's to supporting how we get there. What difference in your demeanor, what difference in the conversation occurs in each of those conversations? And how do you see that playing out? I would love to continue this conversation. And I would love to encourage you to play, experiment with. If you find yourself truly attached to something, shifting your energy and saying, I'm committed to the excellence of that outcome, and inviting in the creativity that might come from a conversation of allowing others in to share. And also noticing where, when you're attached to an outcome, whose agenda, if you're trying to help another person, whose agenda are you following, really? Is it yours, if you're honest with yourself? Or are you truly holding the other person's agenda at the forefront of the standard of excellence that you're trying to achieve? I would love to see how this and hear how this plays out for you in what you're working on. Thank you.